Today, I'll take you along my walk through parts of the Back Bay and the flat of Beacon Hill back in Boston. Even though no one in Boston, in the actual city, has much of a front garden, everyone absolutely loves to decorate for the season. And here in America, I'm currently in London. That means there are flashes of Halloween and lots of pumpkins everywhere. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharri Harmel, and this is Your Next Chapter, where we talk honestly about how to both design and live a fabulous and meaningful next chapter. For those of you who are not in the United States, Halloween in the US is about dressing up in costumes and kids going door to door with bags that they fill with candy. You know, as a homeowner, when you open the door, the kids yell out, "Trick or treat," and you put gobs of candy in their bags. It's a completely bizarre holiday. It's nothing like the All Hallows Eve of the old days, which had kind of a ghoulish history. But weirdly, in America, this has evolved into costumes and candy. Well, on our walk today that I'm taking you on, I filmed it right before I got on the plane to London. You will see federal architecture and even a bit of French and Italian Renaissance architecture as the different styles, kind of became the trend of the day. My building, the building where I live, was built in a sort of Italian Renaissance, I should say, period, which I'll tell you more about when I show you the little elevator vestibule that actually is on my floor and takes you into my apartment. So let's go for the walk. Some of the prettiest houses on Beacon Street are on this block. I love it. So pretty. Look at that front door. The detail work around the front door is magnificent. Just magnificent. And we've got something entirely different here. And then another. So pretty. Beacon Street used to be a very, very prestigious street. It still is to some extent, but maybe not as prestigious as Commonwealth Avenue or Marlborough Street even. This house is rather unique in that it's got a very French design, which is unusual in Boston. A bit unusual, not quite as federal looking, and if I can get further away, you'll be able to see what I mean. How it has some of the French green on it. I've always loved this building. They have lanterns out in the front, which is very fun. Very cute. Here we've got some issues, as you can see. I don't know what's growing in that window. All is not perfect. Here's one that's done an interesting job with window boxes. I don't know how those all stay watered, but it's kind of an interesting idea. Beautiful garden. Back up a little bit so you can see. You can also see the lower entrances, as I've shared in previous videos. Those were the kitchen entrances at one time, and now they are apartments in almost every building. So I mentioned that Beacon Street is not quite as prestigious as it used to be, and that's partially because Beacon Street's busy. These are parking along here, and then a huge, huge bike path, which Boston has put all over the place for the, how do I say it? The small number of able-bodied people who can bike. Anyways, I will not belabor that point. You can see, though, that there's quite a cross-section of different kinds of homes. These were all private homes at one time. We're talking, these were most likely built somewhere around the 1860s or so. This is a complex I adore. I don't know why, except, well, that's very cute. Happy birthday, it says in the window. It's 4 buildings that are run as one co-op. And it's the address. It's just beautiful. Something about it is the maintenance of the grounds is beautiful. And that is the Charles River straight out there and Storrow Drive in front of it. So everybody who's above isn't really impacted by Storrow Drive. Yeah, it's just lovely. I think the way they did it has a very European feeling, almost like a muse in London. See the little plaster stonework above each of the doors, which I think is so pretty. We are now almost entering Halloween season. When this video airs, I think Halloween might have already happened or close to it. I just love how people decorate for the different holidays, in so many different cities. As long as you have a stoop, you can decorate. That's very special. Very cute. Beautiful stonework above the door. Okay, we are on Gloucester. It's a cross street on Beacon. This house always has the most fabulous window boxes. I had to show you this because it's amazing. And look at what they've done over here. I don't know if this is a private home. They even have flowers above the door. It kind of looks like it is a private home, but look at this. They have in their front yard. Love is the answer. Beautiful windows all the way. And you could see the real tall windows mean the first floor, what would be considered the first floor, as well as the second floor, have incredibly high ceilings. So compare it to the building next door. That gives you a perspective of the ceiling height. Just beautiful. I thought all of you who are not from America or in America and you have a big yard, you would enjoy this. How different this is. Nobody would do this anywhere but in America. Getting ready for Halloween. Crazy. Okay, now I am on Comm Avenue, and just so you know, I forgot my great microphone, and so I apologize if the sound is not great. But behind me, the Commonwealth Avenue splits here and ends up going towards Boston University. If you keep going that direction, you end up at Boston University. And so a lot of this area, and also this is Mass Ave. I'm changing subjects, so not subjects, but not finishing my sentences. I apologize. Massachusetts Avenue, or called Mass Ave, if you stay on that, you end up at MIT. So you're kind of in the middle of two very large universities. And so there is lots and lots of university housing in here, lots of students. So some of it is not great. And I don't think you'd enjoy seeing some of these. You will see a lot of this sort of thing with chairs out in the front so that kids can come out and sit and whatnot. So, but they do a reasonably good job. It's just not as pretty as what you see further up Commonwealth Avenue towards the public garden. It gives you an idea. People walk all along here. It's a great place to walk your dog. Lots and lots of dogs in the area, as you can imagine. The Commonwealth Avenue Mall, the mall, is wonderful. I don't know if I shared this with you, but a few weeks ago I was crossing this area, and I found a tourist. A tourist came up to me and said, and she was foreign, and she said with her accent, "Where's the mall? Where's the mall?" She thought a mall was always a shopping center. I said, "The mall is right here." And she said, "Where are the shops?" And I thought that was so cute that someone would refer to a mall only as a place to shop. In America, obviously. But more Halloween. Oh my goodness. Isn't this cute? We are on the corner of Commonwealth Avenue and I think Hereford. That is a doctor's office, and you see some of that where there's some mixed use buildings. Hereford. It goes alphabetical, believe it or not. That is a fraternity house. And I only know that because on the first weekend, it must have been in September, they were having a cookout in their little yard, which is hysterical. So there are a number of old fraternity buildings on this street because MIT used to be in what is the Restoration Hardware building on Newberry Street, which is fascinating. And as you well know, MIT was all guys for a very long time. And consequently, there's fraternities here, no sororities, which is kind of interesting. This is the Commonwealth Mall, which is beautiful and fun to walk, and all lit up at Christmas time. So I'll cross over here. I'm from the Midwest. This is something you just don't see very often in the Midwest. Wrought iron fences. And there's something about them that is so beautiful. This one even still has its gate intact. What a beautiful home. Just beautiful. But you see this in Paris. You see it in London. You see it in Boston. A little bit in New York. Different areas in New York. I love it. Absolutely love it. I had to take a picture of this. There's an app called Picture This, which all you have to do is photograph a tree, a plant, and it gives you the name, and it tells you whether or not it's healthy. This is a Siberian crabapple, also known as a Chinese crabapple, and it is considered healthy according to Picture This. We are now coming up to what was the old Algonquin Club. Algonquin, as in the Native American tribe that lived in Massachusetts. And a couple bought this a number of years ago and renovated it and turned it into the Quinn. So they took off the Algonquin, and now it's called the Quinn, which is a lovely private club. Oh, that's pretty. I don't know what that means, but it's pretty. This was an old club. I won't go any closer, but this is actually a school that is decorating for Halloween, as you can see. Very, very fun. And it's right across the street from Commonwealth Avenue. I just want to break in for just a minute and talk a little bit about the value of walking. Walking and being aware of your surroundings, breathing deeply and thinking. I can't tell you how many walks take me to ideas and very often answers to questions that I've been struggling with, that I've been pondering over. Something about walking is interesting in how it clears the mind. And I hope these come with me sometimes do that for you. Honestly, I began taking walks whenever I was feeling unsure of what was next, whether it was a family issue, a business issue. What should I write about next in this podcast? Or even something that's uncomfortable, like I struggled for whatever reason flying from Boston to London with a nor'easter that had developed over Boston. I was totally in a panic. Walking actually relieves some of those stresses. So, it's like something when we walk, whether it's a question we're dealing with or some sort of stress we're working through, something happens. And the clarity, truly, the clarity that clarity over what it is that is bothering you starts to come to you as you walk. But to get that clarity, we have to take it slow. This isn't a power walk. This isn't, interval training via walking. We have to be present and we have to stop and be able to look around. And as you saw in the video, I actually stopped and I use this quite often, this particular app on my phone. And I'll put it down in the show notes because it's a wonderful app where you can actually take a photo of a tree or a plant or something growing, and it will tell you immediately. I think it's called Picture This. It will tell you immediately what it is and all the different names of that particular plant and whether or not it's healthy, which in a neighbor's yard is not so important. But as you're walking, it's very fun to be able to see, getting present to the world around us. We actually end up feeling stronger. We get ideas. We might even practice something that we have to present. I did that when I was working through my recent book launch party. And, I had to do the introduction. I was thinking of how to bring in different aspects of the individual or participant's experience in that book launch. I walked and I talked. You sound like a crazy person, but who cares? I don't know the scientific reason why walking seems to work. I am no scientist, but walking with presence does help us mentally and emotionally. So let's keep walking. We've got a race today in Boston, and so consequently, Beacon is closed. It's very quiet, so you can see across the streets. One of the viewers said, Boston does not have brownstones. Well, this is what we call a brownstone in Boston, one after another. You can see some of the runners. Never do you see the street like this. Never, ever, ever. I've shown you the street in Boston before. It was a mews, which means it was where the horses were kept, both for Beacon Hill as well as for the Back Bay. And this was before Storrow Drive was built. But look at this beautiful garden. Oh my gosh, first of all, I love the gate. Isn't that special? And then look at the garden. They have a little greenhouse in the back. I'm peeking totally. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Sweet as can be. You can see the greenhouse. Okay, let's go around the side and see if we can see anything more other than private parking. Nope. We've got all kinds of privacy. My guess is they built this, they put in this whole wall, and then you can see the very top of the greenhouse. How cool is that? We're on Chestnut Street. This is actually the flat of Beacon Hill. This was created land, and then the hill went up, and the hill was sharper before they chopped it off and used all the land. There's some interesting buildings back here that truly remind me of London or Paris. I think this is so pretty. You will see a bit of France in Boston architecture, but primarily you see Federal, and this would be what I would call a little view of France. We've got the cobblestones. We're still on the flat of Chestnut Street, but we are heading towards Charles Street, which used to be the end of the water. believe it or not. You can see why you have to walk so careful here in Boston, especially in parts of the Back Bay, parts of Beacon Hill. It gets a little wonky, as I call it. But you can see everyone's decorated for Halloween. Isn't that great? Yeah. And that, believe it or not, is a garage. And there are all kinds of lifts within that garage. You own your space, or you own the opportunity to park there. And just so you know, I think it's around $300,000 per space. Now you can turn around and sell it. So it's kind of like owning a garage somewhere. But anyways, that gives you an idea. We're coming upon a restaurant. It's called 75 Chestnut Street. It's actually a nice little restaurant. Almost a borderline pub. Very cute. You can see the name right there. 75 Chestnut.
They seem really sweet. I mean, I like.
It's a great street. Right there, right ahead of us, is Charles Street. If you go straight up Chestnut, you can see the top of the Massachusetts State House, which is the state capitol building. Here you see entirely different architecture. Almost looks, I don't know, almost looks German or Old French in a way. So it can't be that old because the flat of Beacon Hill was built in the 1800s. So, yeah, let's take a look. But you can see little shops all along. All through Boston, there are these little bookstores, little free libraries, they're called. I give all my books in there. And love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, beautiful work on the outside of that building. And then we have one that's rather new, but still gorgeous front door. I have to watch where I'm going so I don't fall flat on my face. Isn't that pretty? Hear the church bells. It is a Sunday morning. Beautiful door. And now I'm headed back home. We don't have much of a Halloween presence, unfortunately. Yeah, I sure wish we did. Okay, this is the entrance to my, what I guess we'd call it an elevator festival or entry, something of that sort. I think you saw it in an earlier video. Yeah, and this is a staircase to downstairs. I am on the second floor, and I will swirl around without driving you crazy, or making you dizzy, I should say, and that is the elevator door. That is a closet. That is my storage closet. And you can see I changed out the light, and I share this with you. This is the entrance to my apartment, but I share this with you because it's relevant in the neighborhood. This was all open at one time. When this building was built, this was all open. And the entrance to the building actually was very different too. And you can see it because it kind of looks like
This is exterior, even the floor. And the fellow who's going to be replacing the windows was sharing with me that this at one time was open. It was Italian Renaissance, and that is why it was open. This is all shaded. It is filmed glass because that is the center courtyard of the building, but all of this was open, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. And the reason he knows this was Italian Renaissance is because these windows are metal, and that was very in the 1800s when they actually turned this into a closed space, which is so interesting. But the metal windows, not only are they, rather old at this point, but they're bad from the standpoint. It's amazing they've lasted this long because they don't expand and contract, and so consequently they break the windows and they rust out. You can't see how bad it is, but it's pretty awful. So I have to replace these, which is no small feat. And the whole discussion is whether or not they're wood or they're metal. And the metal, even though it's better, does not last as long as wood. And we have to see if we can make the wood to look like the original, if that makes any sense. So I share this because as we walked around today, you saw so many different styles of architecture. And this gives you a little feeling of the Italian Renaissance. In addition, and I talked about this earlier, the YouTube video that's all about architecture and how we don't do things pretty anymore. We're all into functionality. And I mean, something like this is a perfect example. Not needed, not necessary, and yet it added something pretty. And the same with the wrought iron protection for the doors. Very, very cool. Around the door, same thing. You see all this kind of unique little architecture. I don't know if you could see at the top, but it's all pieces, cutouts. So anyways, we'll head in.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me today on your next chapter. And if you enjoyed our walk and conversation today, I ask that you please share it with someone you think might also like to be a part of our community. So what about you? Do you ever take walks to clear your head and find answers? Do you walk with music? Or do you like, to walk in silence? Do you get your best answers when it is completely quiet and you just enjoy the walk? Or, do you have another way to gain the clarity that you need to get through the challenges and work out the direction that you want to take in your next chapter? Do share in the comments section. Your comments, honestly, give all of us ideas. No one person has all the answers for everything, and that's why sharing is so, so fun. Also, I highly recommend that you join us in our Substack community. That's an opportunity for you to have more deeper conversations. And also, I share all kinds of things in the Substack community that I don't ever present, if you want to call it that, on YouTube or even record on YouTube. So go check out Substack. Enough of that, right? Let's inspire each other. That's really what this is all about. And do hit subscribe if you haven't already. And then you won't miss any of our upcoming conversations about how to design your fabulous next chapter. So until next time, remember to move forward with love, a little courage, and a deep trust that something fabulous is waiting for you to begin in your next chapter. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. A biento.